sit back, relax and enjoy the show.
The fairy tale is complete. The Central Coast Mariners, champions of Australia.
Allianz Stadium on a warm and picturesque Sydney night, ready for Sydney FC against the Newcastle Jets. Vital game for both teams as they try to bootstrap themselves onto the top six race. And look at that shot, the Northwest Sydney spirit, 700 strong in the crowd tonight. The future of the game right there from Sydney's northern suburbs. Their home ground, not actually that far away from Sydney FC's new training facility. As the Cove start to build in numbers too and make their voice heard, Ufuk still in the rooms, only one voice, the focus of that team huddle. Sensational conditions for football, beautiful night as the weekend of A-League continues. It's Friday night and it's already game 3. We've got a decent foothold in this weekend's action already, with MacArthur getting the win on Thursday night and then a stoppage time equaliser for the Wellington Phoenix against Melbourne Victory. Isuzu Ute tunnel cam showing us Sydney FC now being joined by the Newcastle Jets, who are in their away kit and set to be led out by their spearhead Apostolos Stamatolopoulos, who is in great goal scoring form this season. That is quite the haircut for the young mascot there with Luke Bratton. No doubt in preparation for this big moment, and it always is a big moment for these young players as they get to walk out to a venue like Allianz Stadium, hoping to follow in the steps of their Isuzu Ute A-League men's stars. So this is the scene at Allianz then for a vital game as far as the ladder is concerned. 9th placed Sydney with a bit of a dint in their goal difference as well. They could move up to as many as 18 points tonight, but unlikely to actually displace Melbourne City from 7th up, who are also tied on points with Adelaide and the Central Coast. Newcastle, as we heard from Robbie Stanton in post-game, they just need a win. They're on 13 with a bit of work to do. Sydney FC make 3 changes to the starting 11. In come Jordan, Courtney Perkins, Patrick Wood, and also Max Burgess. To the bench goes Fabio Gomez, as does Zach de Jesus. We could be seeing Hayden Matthews making his A-League men's debut. No Jaden Kucharski. He drops out from last week's team due to a concussion. Look at the bench there. Very young and inexperienced Sydney bench, but lots of promising youngsters with bright futures and Australian youth national teams on the resume. There is Max Burgess, starting to almost be classified as a veteran at this point of his career. We haven't seen him a great deal this season, but Sydney FC know his creativity and flair, and they will be hoping to see plenty more of that. 111th A-League men's game for him tonight. Newcastle also 3 changes to their starting 11. Reno Piscopo, Callum Timmins, and also the former Wanderer Daniel Wilmering into the starters. Lucas Moragas and Daniel Steins move to the bench. We could be seeing Jerome Vitomier for the first time since December, and also there could be a potential debut for former Sydney FC Academy player Nathan Grimaldi. No Brandon O'Neill or Justin Vidic from last weekend's matchday squad. Archie Goodwin has goals against Sydney FC in his history. He's amongst the subs. And so Reno Piscopo, so much creativity, and a player who has magic in his boots on his day at 25 years of age. Tonight is match number 83 in his career, but only his 6th of the season. He does have 2 goals against Sydney FC over the journey, wearing the yellow and black of Wellington Phoenix. Ufuk still early in his tenure with Sydney FC, as we heard in the pre-show. They aren't keeping clean sheets, but they have found the goal-scoring touch. Will it be more of the same tonight, or will there be a bit more defensive resolve from this Sydney FC outfit? Newcastle Jets and their coach Robbie Stanton will all be wearing black armbands in memory of Stephen Labert, who died this week, age 46, played at Newcastle in the 07-08 season, 15 Socceroos caps, and also part of the 2000 Sydney Olympics as an Ollie Roo. Rest in peace. Tonight's referee is Adam Bavker, one of the best young referees in the country. It's only his 4th A-League game. It's hard to believe. I hope I haven't put the moz on him. His assistants tonight will be Andre Giev and Brad Wright. 4th official is Tim Danaskos, and Casey Rybelt is waiting in the VAR booth. So Sydney FC in their home Sky Blue will attack the run of your screens in this first half. A-League men's round 13 continues. Free-scoring Sydney FC ready to take on the Newcastle Jets, and we're underway at Allianz Stadium. And joining me in commentary is Daniel McBreen. Macca, we are really looking forward to this one because it's so important for both sides.
Well, it certainly is, Taya. Good evening, everyone. We saw the table. Both these teams need 3 points just to stay in touch with that top 6 and be in the mix as we approach the halfway period in the season, actually. Sydney with a good opportunity here with an early corner.
Corner within the first 30 seconds then for Joe Lolly. Hangs it high to the far post, and Ryan Grant struggling to get the body shape to twist it back towards the 6-yard box. But a signal of intent early. Joe Lolly with 7 goals. Would you believe that his most prolific season in a 46-game championship season was 11? So the fact he's got 7 in 12 means that he's already looking at some of the best numbers in terms of goal scoring in his career.
Well, he looked good in the Australia Cup, didn't he? And when we spoke to him about that, he said he'd done a lot of work in the off-season. He said, without being disrespectful, he didn't realise it was going to be so difficult in Australia. He said he needed to do some extra work. He has been doing that, and it's starting to pay dividends for himself and Sydney FC.
Newcastle with Wilmering, who is a natural left footer, able to steer this out for a throw, but it's been all Sydney for the first 90 seconds. Cove making plenty of noise. As the throw in just snakes its way out for a goal kick, and Ryan Grant's not too thrilled with the lack of attempt to play at the ball there, but it's all smiles from Joe Lolly. An early mulligan, perhaps, as they look to sharpen up. Not even 2 minutes gone. Here's Grant again to Bratton. Pass was deflected. It's there to be won, though. That's exactly what happened. Coming through from Holman, and now Wood in the middle. Natter able to clear it away. Second chance for Corey Holman. And now Max Burgess, a deft touch. Natter again called upon. Able to flash it out of the box. Bratton, third time of asking. And this will bend around and just stay in. Burgess refused to give up on the ball. Sydney already creating a bit of a siege mentality. And that pass relieves the pressure.
Well, great positive start from Sydney. Both these teams actually lead the goal scoring charts in the opening 15 minutes with 5 apiece. Sydney FC applying the pressure early on this Jets defence.
They might have done their homework on Newcastle being the best first half team and figured we cannot let Newcastle get a foothold because we know that that's when they score their goals too, early doors. They've barely been to their attacking third. It's about to change right now. Just lost Stamatolopoulos. It's being followed by Jake Girdwood-Reich. As the ball goes out for a goal kick. Some very positive comments about Jake Girdwood-Reich during the week. The prospect of him potentially being sold overseas is already being mooted, Macca, which is interesting. Any thoughts on not going a little bit too early on someone who still is only in game 27 and only 19 years of age in his young career?
Well, yeah, there's always that argument, isn't there, that they need to get over there as early as possible to get in that environment. But the other one is that so many Australian players go and tend to come back. Maybe it is better to have another year or two, really solidify yourself as a first-team player, get that experience, a little bit more heart and professionalism behind you, so when you do go, you're a little bit better prepared. And everyone's different. Each player has their own path to take.
Of course, those comments were made by Alex Baumjohann, who has great experience in Australia, but he dubbed Girdwood-Reich a future top-line player from Australia. So if you trust Baumjohann's eye, you trust that Girdwood-Reich who could be eligible for an EU passport through German heritage, would potentially be on the fast track to Europe. Wait and see. It's got tonight's remaining 85 minutes to worry about first and foremost. So we see a leap over the top here from Bratton, and a foul given Newcastle's way. Bratton protests. He thought he had his legs taken out from under him, but it's Reno Piscopo who gets the free kick.
I tend to sympathise with Bratton here. He just goes up, wins the header, and Piscopo just stands underneath him. Of course he's going to come down on top of him.
Lolly working with Grant. A rangy crossfield pass. Courtney Perkins turns it back inside. Interestingly, wearing the sleeves tonight, Gabriel Lacerda. It's quite a warm night. Interesting choice from him. Just be comfort. Here's Grant. Gabriel Lacerda again. Newcastle happy to let Sydney keep possession, but the incisive pass is attempted now. Dane Ingham first to the ball. Throw-in taken quickly. Wood trying to bring a bouncing ball under his control. Burgess. Courtney Perkins turns it back inside to Caceres. At the edge of the box, a shooting channel opened ever so briefly, but it's straight into the gloves of Ryan Scott.
You can see early on here in the game the difference in the sides for Sydney FC on the sides of the field. Joe Lolly, that out-and-out winger, stays high and wide. On the other side, Max Burgess, who we know can do so well in that midfield position, just comes inside into another 10 position again, aside Anthony Caceres, and Courtney Perkins is allowed then to push on and be the winger. So interesting to see with the stock they've got, how they play differently on each side.
City a bit more aggressive, trying to press the ball carrier for Newcastle. Woolring breaks the lines with a long ball. Stamatolopoulos has stolen a march on the Sydney FC defence. Stamatolopoulos! Oh, and he's met by the flag, the latest of flags. Andre Giev did not come to the party.
Well, I must admit, on first viewing, I thought he may have just gone a fraction early. But he poses such a threat. He has been fantastic for the Jets this year. And we'll have to go all the way back to near halfway to have a look at this. Such a high line from Sydney. They're dicing with danger there with the pace that Stamatolopoulos has.
Bit of a hold-up on the restart. Only Apostolos Stamatolopoulos is protesting. None of his teammates seem to be joining him. It was a neat finish, but there's a reason perhaps that he caught out the defence so emphatically. But we still wait. So VAR, Casey Rybelt and Sarah Ho, who is a FIFA assistant referee, are taking a look at this. And the restart from an offside is called for. So referee's decision upheld, goal disallowed. But an early warning, perhaps, for Sydney FC.
Well, definitely. Stamatolopoulos has pace, as does Trent Bahagia down that right-hand side. If you're going to play with a high line, you're going to have to get it right.
Bratton, Lolly. Little pass underneath for Caceres. Grant, Lolly, deft touch, clever Holman, and Wood steered it away from his own goal. He couldn't hook it in. He needed to rake it with his foot towards the target, and now A very solid challenge here has left Girdwood Reich and Stamatolopoulos sprawling. Action at both ends.
Well, we said these two teams score more goals in the first 15 minutes than anyone else. Well, they're certainly trying to add to that, aren't they? Both teams looking dangerous. And he's been good so far already, hasn't he, Corey Holman? Pat Wood just a little behind him, may have been in an offside position, and Stamatolopoulos there with the late challenge. Only eyes for the ball, but Girdwood Reich just too quick. It is a hefty challenge.
And for Newcastle's sake, they'll be desperately hoping that their goal-scoring ace is not going to have to leave the game. Both sets of trainers are out on the pitch. Tale asking the question of the fourth official. Patrick Wood had a great Australia Cup scoring goals, but he hasn't found the back of the net in the league since April, funnily enough, against Newcastle last season, so that would have been a great confidence booster for it.
Well, he had a great run, as you said, but couldn't quite find the target in the first couple of games this season, and then found himself on the bench. As Gomez was the preferred option. He gets his chance again tonight, which I must admit found a little bit strange, considering that Gomez has got 4 in his last 4. Maybe it's just a chance to mix it up.
David Zrilic, the former Socceroo, there in the background, pointing at the screen as they discuss what the early formations and pictures are looking like. So 11 minutes sample size. You see the domination of possession and touches in the opposition penalty area. So execution, no doubt, will be one of the things that they are talking about, as both players, fortunately, are back on their feet and able to return to the action.
Well, we're used to this from Newcastle, aren't we? We like to play counter-attacking transition football, use the pace of their strikers.
Nearly an opportunity on that occasion for Holman, had he taken that touch, which might just open up for him there. Instead, a foul will get Newcastle out of their defensive third. As we see again, late contact from Bratton. Feet went out from under Reno Piscopo. Natter slipped from Lolly, but he's back to his feet, able to win the ball. Lolly gets another chance, a kind deflection. Girdwood Reich, saw him having a bit of attention given to his thigh after that collision with Stamatolopoulos, but he's back up and running. Slick little flick there. Holman plays it through for Wood. Goalkeeper's out, and Ryan Scott improvises to bat it away, but now the flag goes up. The late flag now at both ends. Perhaps a talking point early in this one.
Yeah, I think it was pretty obvious. Wood just couldn't quite get back in time. Ryan Scott wasn't to know. He was out, did his job.
Knew where the edge of his penalty area was. No qualms about swiping that right hand up to knock the ball away. Grozos from deep in midfield, and now the Jets are on the move. Past Stamatolopoulos, but Clayton Taylor, the former Sydney man, trying to horn his old club. And it's deflected behind by Girdwood Reich.
Well, it was a wonderful ball in, wasn't it? I actually thought the ball was going to go wide to Dane Ingham, but it was put across, and there was 3 Jets players who were staking a claim to try and get there. And as he steadied himself, the Sydney FC defence just gets back enough. Girdwood Reich, you can see their arms in front of his body, no problems there.
So first corner for the Jets. Longest they've spent down at their attacking end so far in the game. All about the delivery, though. Defensive header comfortably initially from the setup. Newcastle retained the ball. Trying to find a second pass into the box. Piscopo went to ground a little easily for the referee's liking, but eventually the call goes Newcastle's way. And it will be a dead ball free kick rather than a throw-in. So a corner on one side and a wide free kick on the other. Now the Jets get to build some pressure on Sydney FC. Sydney shading the height advantage, you'd have to say. Redmayne for a first clean sheet of the season. Big test here. Flicked on by Bahaja and then headed away by Girdwood Reich. Taylor twisting and turning, trying to outfox three defenders, and the numbers one out. Wood with it all to do. Natter knocked him to the ground. Play continues. The attempted cross here is deflected out to the corner. Grant's clearance will give possession straight back to Newcastle. Piscopo, clever. Difficult to control initially, but Timmins has Newcastle back in possession, albeit briefly. Bratton. Newcastle closing all the passing channels. Look how crowded it is around the ball. Bratton, Piscopo. And now Clayton Taylor looking for a touch of class, but he can't find a way past Girdwood Reich.
Well, there's just so many Newcastle Jet shirts pressing there. There's a pure amount of bodies that there were in that area. No team able to get the ball down and play out.
Popped over the top for the speedster Bahaja, but he's just caught out of position on this one, and safety first coming from Jordan Courtney-Perkins. So the Jets now have had the ball lived down in their attacking half for a minute or two, after Sydney had the better of the early exchanges. Stanton pointing, gesticulating, instructing his team to make space. That's what they're going to do over on the right side as Grozos releases the pass to Ingham. Ingham to Bahaja, a quick head check of what's going on in the middle. The early ball, Stambolopoulos and Taylor almost in each other's way in the end. Still a chance though here for Wilmering, and it's headed away by Courtney-Perkins. Piscopo dispossessed. Now Wood can try to turn and go. Bratton over to Lolly. He's switching flanks. Courtney-Perkins brings the ball down. Burgess. Girdwood Reich. Bit of a loose touch, and then he's crashed in late. Referee is not going to wait for the advantage. We're going to see a first card of the game. Or are we? Clayton Taylor is still down. Jake Girdwood Reich knocked him to the floor. Adam Bavka still yet to reach to his pocket. And as we wait for treatment for Clayton Taylor, teams are making their way over to the bench maybe for a drink, and there is the yellow card confirmed for Jake Girdwood Reich. Macca, thoughts on the tackle?
Well, I think the fact that he pulls his boot back at the last second and really just connects with the shin may have saved him a little bit of a worrying weight there. He did dive in, but the studs come back and come down. It's still pretty heavy contact though.
All right, let's go back to the disallowed goal for Apostolos Stambolopoulos. This is the long ball. This is what was happening further up the pitch. And the frames were lined up.
So basically, as that ball was struck, he was in an offside position. Referee's assistant did well, got it right.
Clayton Taylor's back on his feet. There is the assistant referee. Of course, Clayton Taylor was a Sydney FC youth player. Him and Jake Girdwood Reich were in the same team the last 3 winters before Rob Stanton made Clayton Taylor one of his first signings when he moved up to Newcastle. So he's going up against his former club, familiar faces, and they've certainly let him know that it is going to be a tough ask for him if he wants to run at them the way he would have been training for a number of years.
Well, even if he gets through this game, that one's going to be a little bit sore for a couple of days.
And now possession spilled. Timmins not able to bring it under his control. Caceres has to go backwards though. So plenty of talking points in the first 20 minutes, but no goals as yet. Courtney Perkins. See if Sydney's midfield can present better for the ball now. Burgess. Can't get the better of Ingham, who's stuck to his task over there at right back for the Jets. Courtney Perkins to take the throw. Bit of indecision. Actually settles on Caceres, and now that will open the slightest of gaps for him. Ingham again, proving the antithesis to Burgess making any headway. Stavropoulos buzzing around, coming back to help out the defence.
Both teams having a little trouble getting out of their own half when the press comes. Both teams seeing plenty of numbers up high, particularly when that ball's closer to the sideline.
And as it works its way down the sideline, let's throw it down to ground level. Tristan McManus.
Hello, Teo. Yeah, the atmosphere is great in here. I mean, look at two teams who are coming off the back of 4-3 losses, and both of them are still going for it. Everything you expect from Newcastle Jets, certainly this season. They probably should be ahead as well. I mean, that goal, Stavropoulos does it again, but the lack of communication between Taylor and Stama probably ruined that chance for them. It's just interesting listening to you talking about Gerwood Reich and whether they're ready to go abroad or not. It seems to happen at the other end of the scale as well. Carl Jenkinson, his parents are here. He knew they were coming over, but he hadn't seen them yet, and he just saw them before the game kicked off here. So as you can imagine, there's loads of tears from their family as well. It's 6 or 7 months since he's seen them, but just another beautiful moment here in the A-League. And you can see why it tipped Jets today. They're great, but look, at the end of the day, the winner's always football.
Thank you, Tristan. Yeah, well, hopefully Carl Jenkinson makes his way off the bench. A foul here, Janchar involved, as we have another closer look at how Burgess caught him on the way through. It's quite the situation, though, knowing that your parents were in the country, but the first time you see them is sitting in the crowd while you're sitting on the bench trying to get your head in the game, should you be summoned to come on as a sub. Here's Clayton Taylor. He's back up and running. Natter. So Patrick Wood leading the press for Sydney FC. Chancho's shouting at Timmins after playing him a bit of a hot potato pass, but now Timmins is in space. Piscopo not so much, has to reset. Again, a little underneath pass that sold Grozos immediately into trouble. And Sydney FC look to capitalise as a result. Courtney Perkins. What went wrong for the Jets in that phase of play there, Matt?
Well, I just think you could see Rob Stanton on the sideline asking them to play forward, play forward. I just think on a couple of occasions so far they've had the opportunity to switch the ball diagonally. This Sydney press is high. We know they like to press high, but one way you can counter that is use your pace. When you get a chance to face forward, you've got Trent Bahaja and Dane Ingham, who are both willing to get forward on that far side. Just put a diagonal in behind and test the Sydney FC defence.
Grant. Burgess stepped into trouble but still got the ball to its intended target. Volley. Didn't quite strike with the venom he was hoping for, and Natter was able to clear. Bratton. Neat little sidestep. Wood from the flank. Wood on the tight angle. Well, he drove it through a dangerous area, but there was no one in sky blue to turn it in.
Well, he did well there, Wood, in that unfamiliar position out right. But just there, Anthony Caceres had made his run to the near post, and you can see he had to stop. And once that touch was made, he had to stop his run, and then he was stationary as the cross came in. think as a 9, would have been thinking, well, I'll get that ball in as early as possible. They can just make their runs knowing I'll put it in.
Bratton through the middle. Sarah's forced to double back. Underlapping run from Courtney Perkins is able to win a corner. So look at the Sydney FC bench in the background. Fabio Gomez at the end of it. Sydney's second top scorer this season. Next to the youngster Nathan Amanatitis. So we'll start for Patrick Wood at the expense of Fabio Gomez tonight. Here's a corner for Sydney FC then. Patrick Wood just making a nuisance of himself. Costa Grozos and Ryan Scott right on that goal line. Who is going to win the battle for position then as the corner tumbles to the edge of the box, and the drive is sliced away by Bratton.
Well, it was a great idea. Bratton saying just drive it a little lower. It just kicked up off the ground. I think he wanted to hit it first time, and it just took a little heavy bounce. Forced him to make a touch.
Well, the advantage was given to Newcastle, and then a mishit pass is going to invite the pressure right back on. Grozos the offender. Burgess. Neat pass underneath. Burgess. And Chanchar safety first. Puts it behind for a corner kick.
They're looking ominous, Sydney, aren't they? Plenty of runs in behind. Little angled balls. Costa Grozos did just enough there to put Burgess off. Here's another look at that strike. He wanted to hit it first time, and it just skipped up on the final bounce.
So the previous corner tumbled to the edge of the box. Once again, Sydney set up with only one player in the 6-yard area. And that's Patrick Wood. Burgess on corner taking duty this time. Another out swinger and a save, albeit of a slow-moving shot. Courtney Perkins' header necessitating Ryan Scott, who just goes for distance and boots it straight into touch.
Well, it's not a bad header, is it? Under pressure. Testing Ryan Scott on that occasion. But they are applying the pressure, Sydney. Very dominant performance as far as where they are on the field as well. Much being played down the end of Newcastle Jets.
It's this player here, Jordan Courtney Perkins, is starting to spend a lot more time in the attacking half. You see the action areas there, more than 30% now of the game taking place in Newcastle's defensive third. Bratton sets Wood a task, but that'll be keeper's ball. Ingham. Jets looking to relieve the pressure once again after a bit of a spell from Sydney. That pass sold Piscopo straight into trouble. He's not able to keep possession. Courtney Perkins. I'm sure that Piscopo got the last touch. Let's see how frustrated he is about that. Straight back in, trying to win the ball again, and it's just booted away after a goal kick.
I think it might be a corner.
Oh, deflection, a kind one for Sydney. Timmins goes for Ware. See, the trainers are up again. And Sydney, well, we've got multi-ball going. There's a ball at the corner, there's a ball in the penalty area. Quite a few players were caught out by Sydney wanting to take this corner quickly. And now the ball is live at the feet of Bratton, who's had one long shot sighter. Oh, and this one spills into the danger area, and Timmins, just seconds after getting up from a knock, is able to put his body on the line again and clear the ball to safety.
Well, just too much time afforded for Luke Bratton on the edge of the box. No Newcastle defenders at all are switched on. And Ryan Scott to get down at that near post. And this is everything that's happening off the field. Inserted there with the arm.
Chanchar, the man who goes down. Luke Bratton hasn't scored since January 2021. Going number 262 for him in the A-League men's tonight. 11 goals over that journey. Chanchar still showing us that he caught a stray body part to the eye. Here's another look.
He does lash out, doesn't he, Lacerda? And I think it's only a finger that catches him, but I tell you what, you're dicing with death. Throwing the arms out like that around the head area.
VAR has said don't resume play. We're going to have a look. Well, this is, I guess, this is the eyes in the back of the head situation where VAR, I mean, the referee wouldn't be reasonably expected to catch that live, I don't think, in a set-piece situation.
No, and this is where the assistants on the side can help, but also this is what VAR was brought in for. Look, do I think this is a red card? I'll be surprised. The action doesn't look good. I think he just catches him with his fingers, but it's the motion and the, like, oh, okay, you're looking at it again. Doesn't look good, does it?
VAR booth Casey Rybelt and also assistant VAR Sarah Ho. Adam Bavka in just his 4th game as a central referee in the A-League men's, but vastly experienced in the NPL. And a bit of a murmur goes around the crowd because I don't know which way this one's going to go.
Neither do I. Look, he lashes out and he slaps him in the face, ultimately, doesn't he, when you look at it? And the more you look at it, I think the worse it looks.
Tale taking the opportunity to give some instruction to his team. Rob Stanton and the Newcastle bench are also mulling things over. But I guess the question is how long is reasonable to spend on this
Well,
backer?
this is the thing. If you have to look at it 50 times, you know, I think you should have made your decision already. I mean, how many times can you see the same incident before you're satisfied with your outcome?
Moment of truth. So, after the VAR review, there is going to be a yellow card shown to Gabriel Lacerda. So, he's in the book. Chanchar and Lacerda, watch this space next time there's a set piece if they're marking each other.
Well, I know what's going to be happening on social media right now is everyone will be saying VAR is for red cards only, yeah? But the referee, I guess, upon seeing it, then can make a decision that he doesn't think it's a red card, but he thinks it's worth a yellow.
Bratton maybe was sceptical about the amount of contact, but I don't think he's only denying it. Absolutely caught the eye, but plays live after some time spent, and the result is a yellow card. Wood goes to ground, foul Sydney's way. Chanchar the offender on this occasion. Lacerda. And tamely bouncing into the gloves of Scott on this occasion. I think the worst thing that can happen perhaps is a game which had a pretty good momentum and ebb and flow to it, with both teams enjoying spells on top, is broken by that little break. It doesn't appear to have affected the pace so far. Here's Grozos. Sydney again hunting the ball all the way down to the goalkeeper. Ryan Scott's got to be sure-footed as he clears, but he can't find a teammate. Sydney FC able to win the ball back.
It's the second time he's just put one over the sideline, isn't it? He allows his teammates to get set, I guess, for the defensive duties, but they'll be willing him to try and find a player.
attempted pass. Let's look at the flanks. We mentioned Jordan Courtney-Perkins spending so much more time in the attacking half, and that is reflected with Sydney spending more than half their attacks going down his left channel. Right on cue. Lifts up a header, and well defended by Wilmering to get it away. Girdwood Reich able to get the better of Clayton Taylor, who's back up on the ball. Going for a dash. Taylor meets with Girdwood Reich again. Advantage given. Piscopo only one in the box, but it is Stamatolopoulos. It's not going to get to him. And good recovery defence from Corey Holman and Sydney FC. And perhaps the Jets are asking about how fearsomely Girdwood Reich went in here.
Nothing in that for mine. I think we should be more talking about that moment there where Timmins just had a poor touch and allowed Sydney to regain possession.
It's been one of the duels within this contest. Clayton Taylor against Jake Girdwood Reich. Jets will be hoping to put him into more positions where he can run at the defence, but both times he's tried it, he's been felled fairly physically. Here is Girdwood Reich on the ball now. Grant to Lolly. Contest in midfield. Holman lost his feet. And now the foul goes Newcastle's way. Just a bit of edge starting to come into the contest. More fouls, more chippiness, more talk between the players.
There's been an undercurrent of strong tackles and just little niggly things going on. The referee will just have to stay on top of things because that feeling has seemed to be growing and growing as the game moves along.
So you can see there 9 total fouls for the game. Sydney will restart down at right back here with Ryan Grant. Pass bends onto the head of Ingham. Jumping over the top, Lacerda. An important header. Wilmering. Ingham now. No, Bahaja is buzzing around. He can't quite get preferred position here. Back to Redmayne. Bit of an awkward back pass, but he's able to flash it out to the left flank effectively enough. Courtney Perkins wins his team a throw. Courtney Perkins, who I must admit I had been praising getting forward a bit more, just volunteers the ball back to the keeper here. Newcastle get the chance to build out from the back. Natter, the press is on Chanchar. Ingham down in the corner. Newcastle trying to escape Sydney FC's trap. And Timmins with the ball over the top. Being followed up here energetically by Ingham. His pass was under hit. Flashes in at ground level, but doesn't fall kindly. Holman back to Bratton. Lolly. Joe Lolly puts his head down and tries to find top speed. Caceres. Lolly. And then Ingham blocked him once. Lolly gets another chance. Bratton's had a couple of siders now from distance. And now Lolly. Blinded it onto the toe of Taylor. Burgess for Wood. Wood! Great finish! But no celebration. It stands, it's a goal. No celebration, now the smiles break out. And Patrick Wood, hanging off the last defender, has put Sydney FC into a 1-0 lead.
Well, Max Burgess has been drifting inside into that 10 position, and on the Harvey Norman replay, there it is. Comes inside, turns, and what a run and ball that is, and that's a beautiful finish as well. A little dink over the advancing keeper. Lovely play from Max Burgess. He's been in that position so often this evening. There it is, great little ball. Number 9 makes a great run in, Pat Wood. And that's a really wonderful little finish as Brian Scott comes racing out. He just dinks it over him into the empty net. And they've been piling on the pressure of Sydney FC. They've dominated this match and they've got their reward in the final 5 minutes of the half.
Lucky number 13 for Patrick Wood. Hadn't scored a league goal until tonight. And Ufuk Talay backing him to start this evening. He's looking like a great decision. The 21-year-old with his 9th A-League men's goal and his first since scoring against Newcastle back in April.
Very muted celebrations. Was he worried about the referee's assistant putting the flag up?
Well, it was all smiles as soon as Max Burgess found him, but when he was initially reacting to the goal, which was a very nice finish, from our angle that we've seen in the replays, it did look like he was onside. Is there going to be a twist in the tail? Is Patrick Wood's initial apprehension going to show that it had some grounds? David Drillich is probably looking at exactly the same footage.
He's rewinding, isn't he? Yep.
The goal stands. Sydney 1, Newcastle 0. No less than they'll feel they've merited from their first half of effort. And the assist for Max Burgess on his first start of the season. Here's Joe Lolly. Sydney looking for 2 in quick succession. Lolly, Wood! Oh, and he didn't quite get the volley he was after, and this time the flag is up for offside.
Well, there we see the lines clearly onside. Well-timed run. Lovely finish. And a deserved lead for Sydney FC.
And now, if they can keep their first clean sheet of the season, they will be rejoining the finals conversation as Burgess lashes wide here. Shots coming thick and fast.
Well, it's been a while since they've had a clean sheet in the A-League. April, 15 games ago. The task is now to keep it that way.
And Newcastle will probably be well aware that due to the VAR delay and a couple of injury treatments, there'll be plenty of stoppage to end this first half. Wilmering getting into an advanced position. Taylor makes a run, doesn't draw a defender, so he receives the ball in space, flips across. Oh, nodded down teasingly, but not quite to the advantage of Piscopo.
Well, it was almost a wonderful header, wasn't it? You could see what he was doing, just trying to nod it back down into the path of his teammate in Piscopo. Just couldn't quite get the direction. Piscopo had just found a little bit of space in that central area. Just a little warning for Sydney FC that Newcastle aren't done.
Sydney looking to manage the clock here, but you can expect potentially up to 6 minutes of additional time at the end of this first half. So still a lot for the Jets to work with before the halftime team talk from Rob Stanton. Grozos. Bahaja has to go and chase his first touch, and I feel for him. He's been played into trouble by that last pass around the back line at times today, where he's the one that gets the hot potato. But it might work out here, because that's a neat little ball from Bahaja to Stamatolopoulos, who's able, seemingly, yes, to win a corner, albeit with a knock to his ankle.
Well, between Girdwood Reich and Lacerda, they did just enough, didn't they? It was a wonderful little pass, so dangerous in between defenders. Makes those little darting runs off the shoulder. See here, that space just opens up, clearly onside. And Lacerda comes in first and gets enough there. And that space that was open closed very quickly as Girdwood Reich comes across. And he just stepped on his Achilles just as the ball went out of place. Totally accidental, but they do not tickle.
Well, his reaction here suggests that this is something he's aware is potentially serious. Hopefully it's just the initial shock and the initial pain, and it fades and he's able to continue.
Well, they do really hurt a lot. It was just in the running motion as the ball was cleared. Edward Reich just studs down the back of the Achilles.
50th A-League game tonight for Apostolos Stamatolopoulos. Good news is he's okay to continue. The bad news for the Jets is he won't be out there looking to poach at the fall of this corner kick. 7 additional minutes. There we go. So quite a bit of first half stoppage time has been tagged on here. See, Stamatolopoulos will be eager to run right back on. Here's the corner. Redmayne punches it back out from whence it came. Grozos. Bahaja. Stamatolopoulos says, don't pass to me, I can't come back on yet. And now he's waved back into the field of play. So a full complement of 11 restored for the Jets as they try to find an equaliser before half-time. Lolly. Wood was able to keep his feet against Grozos, but the ball does spill to Newcastle. Pressing touch from Stamatolopoulos initially, and the clearance is just blazed away from Girdwood Reich. Only a throw right down next to the corner flag.
Well, he's been good, Girdwood Reich. He's cleaned up anything that's come through.
Now Piscopo with 2 defenders to deal with, and cleverly wins his team another corner.
And he was there again. Edward Reich, he has covered everything that's gone through. He's got toes in, he's 1 tackles.
All about the delivery then at this corner kick. Wilmering, the left footer, in swinger and glancing across the face. Not the most forceful touch from Stamatolopoulos there.
Well, he's good in the air, Stamatolopoulos. He just couldn't quite get the direction, get the jump on his defender there.
Redmayne in absolutely no hurry. 2 of 7 minutes. Stoppage time have ticked by. Again, it's a lot of additional time to manage here for Sydney FC. No one won the header. Natter getting into the back of Caceres, requires a bit of cleaning up here. Chanchar backs his speed. Max Burgess goes with him step for step. It's a curious attempt to beat the Sydney press. Burgess is down. Well, this is not great for Sydney FC given the lack of game time Max Burgess has had so far this season. It's just his 7th appearance of the campaign.
It looked like he was just grabbing his groin there too, which is never a good sign. He slides in there.
You don't see him sprinted full speed too often, Max Burgess. His movement is more about evasiveness than straight line speed. He did the team thing there to chase that down, and Sydney remained in possession as a result. Bratton. Curving ball that won't bring Wood into play, but still required to be dealt with by Ingham. Takes on Burgess here. Shows a turn of toe. And a foul comes to his own.
Dane Ingham is asking the question, how is it not a professional foul, a booking? He's driving forward. He's going to bring another defender out of the line. Burgess just brings him down.
And a tumbling free kick gives the ball right back to Sydney FC. Newcastle not making the most of it at all. Here's Burgess. Lolly's got Grant coming on the overlap. Uses him now. Grant behind for a corner. Or was it? Both teams appealing. Yeah, it looked like a corner. So Joe Lolly's left foot. We saw a corner in the first 30 seconds of the half for Sydney FC. Tale pondering his half-time team talk, how he'd love to have a 2-goal cushion before he needs to take it. As you can see there, Sydney best in the league for goals from corners. This one will flash to the edge of the box. Bratton, charge down. Great defending by Chancha. 5 of the additional 7 minutes have now ticked by. Still 2 to go. Long first half for these teams. Caceres. Wood got the better of Natter initially, and then Natter recovered and was able to clear the ball away.
That's very close, wasn't it? Natter just did enough.
Battle of 21-year-olds, the young guns going head-to-head. And another corner coming up for Sydney FC. This is a big defensive stand here for Newcastle. They do not want to go in 2-0 behind. Caceres. Oh, and maybe Lacerda wasn't expecting the header to get to him. He was leaning in and not really looking at the ball as it deflected off him last.
Chancha just got enough on the touch. Let's have another look. I think he just gets it just a little bit on it, which was just enough to take it away from Lacerda.
One minute left in the half. Patrick Wood's first league goal of the season, separating the teams as things stand. And here he is now, still challenging, taking on Ingham, trying to buy a mistake out of him. Ingham says he was pushed. So time enough for Sydney FC if they're sharp here. Burgess, the man to make something happen. A little swivel on the ball, and he finds space where there was none, but puts it straight into the gloves of the keeper. Now with just 10 seconds of the half to go, Ryan Scott is going to boot it away, go for distance. Lacerda booked during the half. The swipe at Philip Chancha. Taylor. Holman challenging. Oh, you heard the groan there from Timmins as he was knocked to the ground just as stoppage time expired.
We've seen plenty of this tonight, haven't we? Lots of bodies around the ball, lots of players pressing, and lots of niggly little challenges.
So we're beyond the 7 minutes now. How much more will be tagged on? Nothing. That takes us to half-time. Patrick Wood will be happy. Had an early chance, which he wasn't able to quite backheel into the net, but he did pop up with a nice finish for his first goal of the A-League men's season so far. VAR had a role. Trainers were called to attend to injuries, and there's a bit of chippiness in this one. Tempers are just starting to rise. We're only halfway through, and for now, it is Sydney FC 1, Newcastle Jets 0.
Let's kick off the half-time break and welcome our makers half-time heroes. Let's make some noise and make them welcome.
It's a mountain of football on Paramount Plus with the fourth round of the FA Cup. Australia's Ange Postecoglou leads Tottenham against the might of Manchester City. January 27, only on Paramount Plus.
Welcome back to Live Pictures. Yes, the memory of the great Alessandro Del Piero lives on in the Sydney FC fan base consciousness. Great to see fans of the World Game and the local game getting along splendidly there. And in the Sydney FC rooms, look at Tale still full of instruction. His team looking for a clean sheet and 3 points. And it would be 3 points thanks to this, the cleverness of Max Burgess breaking the lines and then sliding through Patrick Wood for his first goal of the season. Didn't celebrate initially, but it was a goal worth celebrating in the end. And that separates the two sides at Allianz Stadium at the break. Newcastle in need of a response. We could see Jason Bertomier for the first time since December. They've also got the potential creativity of Daniel Steins, maybe the strike power of Archie Goodwin to call upon, or the width of Lucas Moragas waiting on their bench. As I welcome Daniel McBreen back to the commentary booth. And Macca, so much of the chat has been about Sydney FC's first clean sheet of the season. What about Newcastle chasing the game? Because Sydney FC are unbeaten in their last 30 when leading at half-time. The only hope for the Jets is that the last team to overturn a half-time deficit and beat them is that it was them.
Well, if we look at the stats between these two, Sydney dominate the head-to-head. The Jets are poor in the second half and concede most of their goals then. So it doesn't look good for the Jets, but these things are always there to be rectified, and it looks like there might be some changes.
Well, Clayton Taylor took a couple of knocks in the first half, and it appears as though his match up against his former team is going to come to an end, and Lucas Moragas will come on. And Archie Goodwin, the 19-year-old young striker who has a double against Sydney FC in recent memory, he is going to be coming on for Reno Piscopo. So Newcastle making some changes. They're going for the two homegrown locals. Goodwin, a fan favourite who we've been waiting for him to get his body right and play consistent 90 minutes. Still waiting for that to happen in his career development. And Lucas Moragas, who was in the starting 11 last week and moved to the bench tonight. But they come on at the expense of Piscopo and Taylor at the start of this second half. So we'll get Macca's thoughts after we take kick-off here. Newcastle to kick off the second half with a 1-0 deficit via Patrick Wood's goal for Sydney FC. Round 13 of the Isuzu Ute A-League Men's continuing at Allianz Stadium. And we're back underway in the second half between Sydney FC and Newcastle. Macca, thoughts on those two half-time subs for the Jets?
Well, I think we'll see the Jets revert to an old-fashioned 4-4-2 with Goodwin and Stamatolopoulos up top as only the opening seconds of the half. We've seen so much niggle in this match.
The kicking off right where we left off at the end of the first half as Chanchar was felled by the pressing Wood.
We did get him there on the leading foot as he went to plant his left foot. Wood came in and collected him. Just see there. Just collects him as he's clearing the ball.
If he wants to take it to the next level, Wood, he needs to get the chrome rinse through the moustache as well as the hair. Now that he's scored a goal, maybe he'll have the confidence to do it. It's quite the look. You can't miss him. And here's the thing, he's scored a goal to back it up. And it's the only one of the game so far. But you're right to point out the tension that has been simmering away in this game throughout the course of the night.
Yeah, you wouldn't say it's been a friendly match. These little niggles and late challenges have been there right from the very beginning.
See in the corner of your screens there, confirmation of those subs. Double change for the Jets. We'll see if they can find a response, find a goal, and get back into this contest. Sydney FC would love a second and a safety net. Ryan Grant. And now Caceres waits for the ball to run on. Cuts it back. Lolly spinning away onto his right side. He wants his left. And the Jets defence knew exactly where he was going. Build up here from Sydney FC. All offside is going to drag everyone back. And the players don't know. I think Wood saw the flag in the corner of his eye, but Holman, who was the man that made it happen in midfield, wasn't to know. And it's offside.
Well, we don't see that very often these days, do we? The flag going up straight away. He must have been extremely sure about that one.
And that would be a spot-on call. Yep. Joe Lolly coming back from an offside position on the wing.
Yeah, great call again. Now told to keep it down until the play unfolds. I bet he breathed a sigh of relief once it was proven it was right.
When the match assessor goes over Brad Wright's copybook, I think there's going to be quite a few ticks next to the name. We're only halfway through, though. As we see there, Lacerda and Girdwood Reich, as the lineups go across your screen, are both carrying yellow cards and need to watch their step here in the second half. So already a lively 3 minutes. Now the Newcastle lineup, for those of you just joining us, appearing as well. And already reflecting those substitutions that took place at half-time. Here's Lacerda into midfield for Caceres. Bratton. Courtney Perkins spent plenty of time in the attacking half, getting forward down that left flank in the first 45. Doesn't seem to be any change to the plans here in the second. Burgess slides it into the middle. Caceres got to go once, twice. Ball spills. Bratton will switch flanks. Joe Lolly goes to work. Lolly jags in. Caceres right back into the traffic. Lolly. Now Grant. Lolly on his right side. He really wants his left peg here, and he's able to find a gap. Grant driving it into the 6-yard box, and Ingham clears. Sydney FC players collide. Burgess nearly still found the ball at his feet. Chance after chance for the Sky Blues. Lolly! Blocked away by Natter. And now the counter-attack could be on. Wilmering escapes with the ball, and his pass is straight into the clutches of Lacerda. All over before it even started, as far as the Jets are concerned.
Well, they were very deep there, the Jets. Sydney applied the pressure. All 10 outfield players within 5 metres of their box. And when they broke, the pace of Stamatolopoulos and Archie Goodwin, they are both willing runners always in behind. And that release pass has to be a little better there. Otherwise, they'll find this, that Sydney will get the ball and they'll come again.
So 5 second half minutes and almost entirely Sydney FC on top. Turning the screws, looking for a second goal. Now forced to go backwards. Redmayne. Possession count in the second half, 83% Sydney FC. Jets trying to do something about that right here. Ingham. Chacha. Pass is deflected. A little back heel by Bahaja, just trying to keep the ball moving, but Sydney FC take over. Burgess. Now Courtney Perkins. Wood. First comes Chanchar, and he thought it was offside. The assistant referee not raising the flag over on the opposite side. Standard perhaps thought it was offside too. There's Reno Piscopo applying ice to his ankle. Clayton Taylor with ice on his thigh. So perhaps they were both forced changes for the Jets.
Still walking wounded down there on the Jets bench.
It's nice when you get two of your more creative flair players kicked out of the game, but it's been that sort of a night. Now Ingham. Hopeful ball, and Girdwood Reich always had the sit. Think about Girdwood Reich, he's 19 and does not look a step out of place playing in an adult competition, does he?
Not at all. He's been fantastic tonight. And not for the first time either.
He's got a real competitive streak, which, as long as he manages it, can be an incredibly invaluable asset. The most interesting thing about him is at NPL level he played almost exclusively as a defensive midfielder, so he's been recast as a ball-playing centre-back, and so far so good for the A-League outfit. Here's Lolly as the ball spills. Wood ahead of the ball. Burgess making a run, as is Caceres. And now Caceres engages Natter. Has to double back. Grant, first-time cross, and Ingham, well, he headed it almost on his own neck, off his back, out for a corner kick.
Well, he instantly turned around, didn't he, to his teammates. He says, well, why didn't someone tell me I could bring that down? I've had a bit of time. There's no one attacking the ball from a Sydney FC perspective. You see there, guys, just talk.
Cove in full voice, in formation. Lots of young faces in there supporting the home team. Now Max Burgess on corner duty as his teammates all on the bench go and head out for their warm-up. Don't get in the way of his run-up. Sydney FC dominating the corner count in the game. 8-3. Here's the corner now from Burgess, outswinger. Bratton able to retrieve it on the first bounce. He's driving it forward for territory. Lolly. Trying to outfox Bahaja. And now the glancing flick on from Lacerda. Didn't really have the shape to trouble Ryan Scott, who was in good position. Sydney FC remain on top. As we have a look picture in picture at how that ball swung in. It's more off the shoulder than the head.
Yeah.
Ball over the top here. If the flag stays down, Stamatolopoulos is in, and he's denied by a top save from Redmayne. And now the flag goes up. It's been that sort of a night. You can't get too excited too early.
Have another look here. Tell you what, it's close, isn't it? Maybe a shade. There's been a couple of occasions where the Sydney FC defence have been high and square. They're running the gauntlet. Jets strikers can time those runs. There could be trouble.
Redmayne waves out his defence. He's going to go for distance. Wood. Bratton. Burgess in the pocket, where he can create. The pass just runs away from Courtney Perkins. Courtney Perkins showed a lot of the ball to Goodwin, and the strike was able to win it away. He's almost gifted it straight back. Newcastle will have possession from this throw. Flying over the top here, Lacerda knocks over Stamatolopoulos. Of course, he's one of the players on a yellow from the first half, but he hasn't done anything since that would seriously catch the eye of the referee. Stamatolopoulos braced for contact and just collapsed as soon as he felt it. Hurried pass out from Grozos here is going to give the ball back to Sydney FC. He's back and forth. Girdwood Reich. Now Natter. Very scrappy. Ends up in a Newcastle throw. Daniel Steins. Potentially just his 5th appearance of the season on the way. Centre of the pitch. There aren't too many white shirts occupying that territory at the moment. Jets going to have to work wide here as a result. As the ball goes out. Macca, it's one thing to call for the forward pass, but the midfield presenting for the ball.
Well, exactly right. I think on that occasion, it was the opposite side they were hoping to be played, as we see Trent Bahaja take his leave for Daniel Steins.
So Bahaja not really able to get out into open space tonight and run at the Sydney defence. A subdued outing for him, but here's Goodwin now, breaking onto this ball. Brings it under his control, draws a save. Steins' first touch off the bench was a miss kick. Great chance for Newcastle, goes begging. And now they head it from Grants. Moragas gets forward. Sydney not off the hook just yet. And Moragas wins a corner.
Well, and that's why the Newcastle fans love Archie Goodwin, homegrown talent. See the pace and then the guile. Couldn't quite find the finish, and as the ball came back out, we thought for sure it was going to be tucked away. Here's the turn and the strike away. Redmayne does enough, but just there, Daniel Steins just came on the field. Could have made himself a hero. The goal at his mercy.
Oh, it's 4 days beyond a year since he last scored in the A-League too, Daniel Steins. He's trying to cause trouble here at the corner, which is fisted away initially. Wilmering. He's going to strike in a second ball. Great header from Lacerda. Newcastle trying to stay on the attack, but Timmins' pass is not able to assist his team, and the clearance finds the safety of the touchline. Newcastle's best chance of the game, it hasn't involved an offside call.
Well, it was almost just a hopeful ball forward from Stamatolopoulos, wasn't it? But the pace of Archie Goodwin turned it into a real opportunity.
This time, that pass won't be able to draw in any of the Newcastle attackers, but a significant flip of the pendulum in this second half, which had just been one-way traffic really for Sydney FC up until that point. And now we're almost at the hour mark. The contest is livening back up. Steins determined to do something proactive. Burgess really made effort to keep the ball in, but Ingham was right there on his case.
Well, he's done well there. Max Burgess. Real effort to keep it in and win possession back.
Courtney Perkins rolling off Steins. Wood at the near post. Sends it back. Holman through traffic. Series of deflections and Natter. And the clearing as far as Girdwood Reich. Another tangle of legs. Referee lets it slide. Both players get back up and untangle each other. Sydney have possession through Caceres. And it's intercepted by Chancha. Stambolopoulos. Well, he just hesitated and Luke Bratton was right there shutting him down in the blink of an eye. Who's going to extract the ball out of this cluster? No one. It's almost like a junior game. Players surrounding the ball, chopping and trying to drive it their way. Who can get it out into some breathing space? Volley. Attracts the attention of two defenders. Volley. Determined work from Caceres to win the header, but it was an up and under. Picture in picture. Sydney win the ball back. Holman slides it across to Lolly. Lolly on his right side, and it's blocked by Natter. And after a game of looking to cut back onto his left, Lolly, almost the element of surprise on his right. Bratton's going to go in the book. It's all happening.
Well, it was good defending from Natter in particular. Kept Lolly on his right foot, which he's done quite well tonight. And then there for the block. Second half in particular, Lolly's had a lot of the ball around that edge of the box, and we know how dangerous he is cutting on their left. And the Jets' defence have always tried to show him outside, doubled up as well, to not allow him through the middle onto his left foot. You see here, Natter did well, allowed him to go outside, and then the yellow card from Bratton, clear professional foul. He has no arguments about it.
56th A-League game for 21-year-old Mark Natter tonight. As was the case after Sydney took the lead in the first half, Andrew Redmayne is taking every second permitted over the goal kicks. Slides off the head of Timmins. Up a second time, Burgess. Now Courtney Perkins. Wood with a run, but goalkeeper had a step or two advantage, and Newcastle looked to play it out through the left channel. Moragas. Timmins was immediately being shut down by two Sydney midfielders, so had to retreat. Newcastle switched to the right. Ingham hugging the touchline and finds Steins with a clever pass. Now Steins looks to drive it across. Really aggressive play from Newcastle, and it's behind for a corner kick, or is it? Yes, right against the line. Girdwood Reich couldn't keep it in.
It was a testing ball, wasn't it? Right across that 6 yard, and you can see both Newcastle Jets strikers making the run. They've dominated this game, Sydney FC, but they don't want to let the Jets back into it.
Redmayne can't get to the corner, and he was fouled by Philip Chanchar there. He saw the bodies collide as they all left for the same ball. Was it Chanchar's arm over Redmayne's arm that's the main thing that's been blown up there by the referee. Frustration for the Newcastle coach, Rob Stanton. Frustration for the Newcastle Jets fan wearing Christmas lights. It's getting the boos of Allianz Stadium. I think you can see the fun in the theatre of that. Neat header on by Stamatolopoulos, forced Lacerda to keep it away from Goodwin. Redmayne, first time clearance. Burgess running into trouble, but he was helped out there by Courtney Perkins. And now Bratton finds a loose player to distribute in the form of Holman. Newcastle happy to guard space at the moment. Pressing the ball carrier too intently as things are currently positioned. The halfway line. Now you see Daniel Steins gets interested. Can Sydney FC find a gap? Bratton takes the aerial route over to Lolly. Really nice touch out of the air. Lolly looking for a textbook. Joe Lolly goal! And in the week that he committed his future to Sydney FC, Joe Lolly shows that he is very much a top talent in the present. And he makes it 2-0 with his 8th goal of the season.
Well, it was only a couple of minutes ago I was praising the Newcastle Jets defence for keeping Joe Lolly off his left foot on the inside. On the Harvey Norman replay we see here, this time they don't do it. Moragas lets him inside, there's no cover. And when you let a man of his quality with a left foot like his into those areas, there's only one result. And that's the ball in the back of the net and a doubling of the Sydney FC lead. You see here he has one thing on his mind. Moragas shows a little bit too much time. The help doesn't come and arrive. And this gets the shot away. And we've seen this so often in his Sydney FC career. Once he gets into those areas, there's not much else that you can do except watch it go into the back of the net. A little deflection, maybe took it away from Ryan Scott as well.
And you can see there, he has been on fire. Goals, assists. He ticks off a first ever goal against the Newcastle Jets on his stay in Australia. And with about a quarter of the night's action to go, it looks like it's going to be Sydney FC in the ascendancy. Fabio Gomez being spoken to, seemingly set to come on, and it looks like Tale's plans ice the cake. Newcastle find themselves in a deep 2-0 hole. Reno Piscopo and Clayton Taylor already having left the game at half-time. Both of them iced up on the sidelines. So the substitution is going to go through immediately. Fabio Gomez coming on for Patrick Wood, and the crowd will sound their appreciation for the 21-year-old having scored his first goal of the A-League men's season back in the first half.
Well, it was a wonderful goal that he got as well. Great run, little dink over the oncoming keeper.
And he gets his congratulations on the sidelines as things kick back off with Sydney FC firmly in control and at least on points. Still a bit of goal difference work to do. Moving up the table. It'll be their 6th win of the season. So with the rest of the weekend still to shake out, puts them squarely back in the top 6 conversation. So Sydney FC looking for more. Natter heading down. Hurried pass here from Grozos. Shuffled on. Stamatolopoulos and Newcastle come back. Good start here. Won't be allowed to because of that slide challenge from Courtney Perkins. Bratton bending ball. Joe Lolly has escaped out the left. Gaps opening up here in the Newcastle defence. Lolly forces a save from Scott. And now the flag goes up. Daniel McBreen, to the naked eye, you saw that coming.
Well, I was going to say, well, it was a lot closer than I thought it was, to be honest. He seemed to be about 5 yards offside, but referee's assistant doing what they're supposed to do.
Tale, no let up in his intensity on the sidelines. There's Patrick Wood having returned to the bench. Gomez will be on, determined to prove a point. Competitive starting 11. That's what Tale would have been hoping for when he took over the club. Of course, Jaden Kucharski missing tonight with a concussion. There's another attacking option that Sydney FC could look to reintegrate in coming games. 20 minutes of regulation to go. Courtney Perkins, Newcastle now committing numbers forward, perhaps taking a few more risks which could leave gaps at the back. They're able to win the ball here though. Ingham, one of those advanced defenders, doing very well. And Newcastle get a mid-range set piece here. Timmins the man fouled. And so attacking set pieces have not brought much joy for Newcastle so far in the game. Master Grozos will be hoping to change all that here. Chanchar, Natter, Goodwin, the Newcastle options in the air. After much anticipation, here comes Grozos' free kick. Straight into the one-man wall. Ingham. It's all just starting to fray around the edges at the moment.
Yeah, it just sort of sums it up a bit for the Jets at the moment, doesn't it?
Now, there's the ladder, of course. I did mention it. This would be on the live table Sydney's 6th win of the campaign. So the goal difference comes secondary. Of course, you've got Newcastle, the Jets. That's right, eventually you've got Central Coast and Melbourne City with the game in hand. Not a numbers man. This is only game 3 of round 13, but well, who's the circuit breaker in the final 20 minutes here, Macca? What can Newcastle reasonably expect to do? 2-0 down, away from home, not their night so far.
Well, if I'm going to be honest, I think it'd have to be Archie Goodwin with his pace, but without any service. The pace is null and void. It's just been a little bit sloppy, a little bit rushed. And that's a bit in part to the pressure that Sydney have put on when the Jets have had the ball. We know that Ufuk Talay has worked a lot on that. High press, lots of pressure, putting opposition teams under pressure so they don't have time to face forward and play the balls they like. I'm just finding it a little difficult, the Jets, to get any real meaningful possession and any positions to make any cutting-edge passes.
Sydney slowly but surely playing their way into the attacking third. Lolly. Right-footed cross, and Fabio Gomez was there. Able to fashion a volley, but it was always going high.
It was good movement from Gomez as the ball comes in. You see there, he gets there first, under pressure from Chanchar.
5 goals for the Brazilian in the league so far this season. Newcastle hoping to play forward here. Timmins to Steins. He's got Ingham charging down the right flank. Ingham. Moragas deflected away and behind for a corner kick. Half-hearted appeals for a handball, and Lucas Moragas showing us what he's capable of. Corey Holman doing the defensive work. A deflection off the midriff of Lacerda. Got that spot on. Wilmering to take the corner. Headed away, Courtney Perkins. Taken by Chanchar. Goodwin not able to bring the ball under his control. Timmins. Grant wins the header. Grozos' pass intercepted. Now Courtney Perkins finds Fabio Gomez. Lolly breaking down the left on this occasion. Fabio Gomez making the return run. It's being pushed wide here by Natter. Brazilian looking to conjure across, and it's 3 for Sydney. Max Burgess got up for the header and put it in the corner. A really nice counter-attacking goal from Sydney. It's Burgess's first of the season, and his first since February of last year. All smiles as Sydney go 3-0 up.
Well, we talked about it coming a little frayed at the edges for the Jets. Well, it was a sloppy pass from Costa Grozos that gave the ball away in the Sydney FC half. And from there, they broke quickly. The Harvey Norman replay shows Gomez to Lolly. Gomez continues his run forward. And here it looks like Jets get the numbers back and maybe have quelled the attack, but it's a wonderful ball in. And that's a wonderful header from Max Burgess as well. Got up well, guided it into that bottom corner. He just shifts it to his left foot. Look at that. That's not easy. He's just hung it up there, Gomez, asking for someone to attack it, and it's too easy as far as Robbie Stanton will be concerned. But a nice ball, a good counter-attacking goal, and a great header from Max Burgess.
And you see there it's career goal number 12 for the still very youthful looking 29-year-old Max Burgess. And he's avoided going a year without scoring in the A-League. His most recent goal was back in February against the Western Sydney Wanderers, and in 11 appearances against the Newcastle Jets, that is the first time he's found the back of the net against them. And he's got a goal and an assist tonight in what has to be considered a quite triumphant return to the starting 11. Can Newcastle do some instant cosmetic repair on this 3-0 deficit? Not to be. Cleared away. Sydney FC, is it all going to start rolling downhill for them now? Fabio Gomez. A new challenge to deal with for this Jets defence. Tried to tuck it inside. Grant still found the ball. Caceres. Lolly. Now Burgess. Look at the movement of Max Burgess. He's got the ball on a string out there now. Cuts it back. Deflected away by Chanchar. Fabio Gomez, his eyes were wide, but wasn't able to fire a shot. Newcastle at risk of getting Harlem globetrotted for 15 minutes here. Sydney FC starting to find the angles. They are playing like a team that's walking on air compared to one that is down for the count. Lacerda. Burgess. And clipped from behind by Ingham. Free kick. I can tell you, Mackett, this is the first time. Oh, we'll stay with the goal first.
Well, it's another angle of a wonderful ball, and it's tight. I'm not too sure about the celebrations, but he's enjoying himself. He's been fantastic tonight, and he's still going. Here he is again.
Burgess, he's through on the left flank, and he shoots in for two! A quick-fire double from Max Burgess, and he's congratulated by all the young subs on the Sydney FC bench. What a return to the starting 11 for Max Burgess. Sydney FC 4, Newcastle Jets 0. It's a rout.
It is. Harvey Norman replay. Look at the timing of the run. Courtney Perkins is allowed to face forward. Beautifully weighted pass. He assesses the situation there. Looks at Gomez square, but sees there's some white shirts potentially in the way and says, well, why not? I'll just do it myself and put it away. And that's capped off a really tremendous performance from Max Burgess tonight. And if it's not already, it could get ugly for the Newcastle Jets, the way Sydney FC are performing tonight.
Well, before the phase of play that led to that goal, I was about to mention it was the first time that either team had scored 3 in this head-to-head going back to 2019. Max Burgess, you can see, it's his first brace for Sydney FC. He does have a hat-trick to his name from when he was playing for Western United. But it is... Well, there's Paramount Plus and Network 10 commentator Ben Homer wearing his Newcastle Jets colours. What a stitch-up. Well done, Ben. Well done.
Well, he's there supporting his team. Well, you've told us about the 3-goal haul. How far back are we going for the 4-goal?
Sydney did score 4 back in 2015 in a 4-3 win. They also scored 4 in a 4-1 win in round 4 of 2019. We're assuming this goal is going to count. Still haven't taken kickoff yet. Sydney FC have never scored 5 against the Newcastle Jets in an A-League game. So now some 10 minutes plus stoppage away from making a historic statement here rather than just a very strong short-term statement. We're assuming this goal is going to count. Otherwise it's back to 3. Newcastle getting subs ready in the meantime. You see it's going to be an A-League debut for Nathan Grimaldi. The goal's been given, so we'll get to the arrival of Carl Jenkinson and Nathan Grimaldi in a moment, but for now, Burgess double, 2 goals in 3 minutes, and he has perhaps a few more to go and seek a hat-trick for the second time in his A-League men's career. As Steins heads the ball out here. And this will prompt the substitutions. So it's going to be an A-League men's debut for 22-year-old Nathan Grimaldi, who was most recently at the Sutherland Sharks, but prior to that was in the Sydney FC Academy. And his junior clubs include Marconi, Mount Druitt and Sydney United. The other change is Daniel Wilmering coming off Carl Jenkinson. Philip Chancha is the man who will make way for Nathan Grimaldi. So congratulations to him. Certainly not the circumstances you want to make your A-League men's senior debut, but it's going to be a great moment for him, and he gets to do it against his former side. And I'm sure he'll be desperate to come on here and make sure his team don't concede any goals, given he is a centre-back by trade.
Well, it's always fun coming on when you're 4-0 down. Hopefully he can do his small part to help the team in this final 10 minutes.
Carl Jenkinson also on for his 4th appearance of the season. Takes it up to 49 career across his time in the A-League with Melbourne City and Newcastle, so he's on the verge of a minor milestone. Courtney Perkins thought he was fouled there. Play continues with Jenkinson taking the throw. Here Gomez, Grimaldi immediately introducing himself with a crunching challenge. And a little deft shove in the back here from Caceres leads to a free kick. Well, it's going to be a bit of soul searching for Newcastle after this, not least because this is going to open up a little bit of a divide in the table. You've got 4 teams on 18 points, Brisbane Roar in 9th on 17, then a 4-point gap to Newcastle on 13, Perth on 8, Western United on 7. They've got games obviously to come this weekend, but they're not cut adrift, but as soon as it gets beyond 3 points, and you know that you can't do anything about it immediately. Next week you've got to be at least 2 games away. Yeah. It starts to
the psychological side of it. Yeah, well, they do have 3 home games coming up, which they will look to as a positive. They can try and turn it around. But we spoke before the match about their second half performances. And we've seen it again tonight, haven't we? They've faded fast.
Some glum faces on the bench there for the Newcastle Jets. And Sydney FC are going to bring on one of their young guns. He's going to come on for a young gun here. Matthew Scarcella on for just his 2nd A-League men's appearance, and that was back in November away to Adelaide. He's going to come on here for Corey Holman, so it's a like-for-like in central midfield, but it's another great opportunity at some A-League minutes for Scarcella, who's been an ever-present in their NPL team and also featured during the Australia Cup run.
And another good performance from Corey Holman as well in that midfield. Plenty of young players getting minutes across the board, across the league. Plenty of them stepping up and showing what they can do as well.
Bratton, Sydney on the hunt for a 5th. Steins knocks the ball to Stamatolopoulos. Goodwin breaking ahead of play, has to check his run. Instead, it's Ingham who receives the pass. As you can see, it's 2 on 6, so Sydney back in numbers. Goodwin trying to find a little bit of magic. Leaves the ball with Jenkinson here. Headed away by Girdwood Reich. I've seen you scrolling away on your team sheet, Macca, for a lot of the second half as you try to work out your points for the Tobin medal.
Yeah, well, it's been...
Max Burgess has kind of gate crashed the party, hasn't he?
Well, his name was already down, but he's certainly cemented his spot in the conversation.
When you haven't kept a clean sheet all season, though, if they do keep their first one here, Sydney FC, well, hold that thought. They might not be about to. Steins, Grozos, blocked away. Scarcella first involvement off the bench is to bear the full brunt of that attempt.
I know what you're getting at, Teo, and Girdwood Reich has had a fantastic game as well.
As we look at the Paramount Plus player index, it does appear to be dominated by attacking players.
And Sydney players, which is no surprise tonight. But yeah, there's been some serious conversations off air here around who should get the 3 points.
Stick around for the post-show. Scott McKinnon, Grace Gill, Daniel McBreen, Tristan McManus. Get the reaction from both camps. The end of what is a night that Sydney FC will send their fans home with broad smiles on their faces as they very much vault back into the finals picture. And the Newcastle Jets, well, we mentioned that they've got some home games on the horizon. They're back on Tuesday. 7 p.m. kickoff against the Brisbane Roar, who themselves really need a get-right game of their own with their recent form. And Ben Kahn still getting his feet under the desk as their new gaffer. So, crucial game and a very short turnaround. If nothing else, Macca, it's a chance to get this out of the system in very short order, given they've only got a 3-day break.
Yeah, there's nothing better than coming off the back of a poor performance to try and go and rectify it as quick as possible. You don't want to dwell on it for 6 or 7 days. But in contrast to that, is you don't have as much time to work on the things that have gone wrong that you need to improve.
I suppose that 3-day turnaround might also give us hope that even though we saw ice packs on both Clayton Taylor and Reno Piscopo, that maybe there was an element of precaution to taking them off going into 3 games in the space of a week. Next weekend on Saturday the 27th, Newcastle play Wellington also at home. So a busy week starting with tonight's game, 3 games in 8 days. As they cross from Ingham, bends all the way around. And then the third of those home games on February the 3rd is Melbourne Victory, who, even though they are not getting results they'd be happy with, are still unbeaten. There's a look at the bench. Piscopo in the foreground, Clayton Taylor. There's Trent Bahanja as well. Haven't seen the return of Batomir tonight. I mentioned during the half-time break he's been out injured for some time. Into the last minute we tick. Sydney looking for a fifth. Caceres. Burgess, 2 goals and assist already. Oh, and here's Fabio Gomez. Volley blocked away. Grimaldi crucial, and a foul given to get Newcastle out of the red. And it's the debutant Grimaldi who put his body on the line.
Well, as the ball fell back in here, Gomez just there, I think, is the foul that was given. Just on Moragas, yep, you see come through the back of the legs as he looks to clear. And Grimaldi put the body on the line and popped the ball. Just took the breath from him.
And so it'll be stoppage time only for a couple of the other youngsters on the Sydney FC bench. But exciting times for Hayden Matthews. You can see the smile on his face because he's about to make his Isuzu Ute A-League men's debut. The 19-year-old out of the Sydney FC Academy. And Nathan Amatatitis, the young man who came over from Adelaide, will get his first appearance since the 6th of January. And so Hayden Matthews, another Sydney FC Academy product, gets to make his debut. He's got some fans in the crowd who are hoping he would make his debut tonight. It's a great moment for him at just 19 years of age. And Max Burgess, we'll find out exactly where he ends up on the Tobin points in the post-game. He comes off, and Nathan Amatatitis is the sort of counter-attacking weapon who probably be still thinking about trying to score his first A-League goal here. The 17-year-old, even though he's only got 4 minutes of stoppage time to work. It's all smiles on the Sydney FC bench as Max Burgess's night comes to an end. Sydney FC, the defence, certainly will still be thinking about that first clean sheet since April in the league. Fabio Gomez against Grimaldi here. Numbers converge, but they've found Amatatitis. And it's taken away by Jenkinson. Fresh legs off the bench. Determined to score for the first time in the A-League. It's the sort of thing that's going to keep Newcastle on edge. Even as this one is well and truly decided as a contest. Courtney Perkins. Now here is Hayden Matthews. Fabio Gomez up for the header. Very difficult to control for Caceres. Grimaldi. Matthews. Joe Lolly still full of running at the end of the night. Grant. Still Grant. And Natter back out towards the corner. But, Grant kept it in. Caceres. Series of ricochets. Fabio Gomez. And Timmins is cramping up. Fabio Gomez thought he had a corner. Instead, it's just a goal kick.
It was a driving run from Caceres. Just a miscue, really, from Gomez, wasn't it? Just getting a touch. Too short. That was a nice run from Anthony Caceres. The last couple of minutes has got on the ball and shown us a couple of little tricks, and he looks like he's enjoying the final minutes of what has been a stellar performance from Sydney FC.
Moragas. Steins. And Matthews sees the ball out for a throw. The 19-year-olds marking each other there. Matthews and Goodwin. So 30 seconds of stoppage time. That's the last rites of this one. Moragas in a tangle with Grant. Matthews goes for distance and sees Manatidis. Gets into a show of strength here against Jenkinson. It'll still be a Sydney throw. That might be that, you suspect. It's going to be a night that Sydney FC will see as one that can really launch them up the table. Tale only his 10th game in charge, and they will be aspiring to many more nights like this one. A first clean sheet of the season. First goal of the league season for Patrick Wood, and not the return to Sydney FC that former assistant Rob Stanton would have been hoping for. Max Burgess, 2 goals and an assist. Bit of a night out for him, and a reminder of his talent and creativity. For the Jets, they are stuck now 4 points adrift. And third last on the table. And 10th place for them. The only good news is they have a short turnaround to play on Tuesday to try and get this one out of the system, because it ended up very one-sided in the end. Plenty for the Cove to sing about. Sky Blues fans go home happy as it ends here at Allianz Stadium. Sydney FC 4, Newcastle Jets 0. All right, let's go straight down into the aftermath. Tristan McManus.
Thanks, Teo. Yeah, I'm here with Jake. You're right. Jake, huge congratulations. Just how important is that first clean sheet this season?
Yeah, we've been looking for a clean sheet all year, so I'm really happy with that. I think this season we've been